Hello again and welcome to my YouTube channel. Last video did amazingly for a startup channel. Hope you enjoy this one too, that is you enjoyed the first one. Without further ado, let's get started. My entitled aunt robbed my great-grandma of a funeral. It's been nearly 9 months since everything went down, but I'm still pissed off about it. So, my great-aunt, EA for entitled aunt, has never been the most pleasant person to be around. She's cunning, headstrong, and just flat-out mean. That being said, she was a well-respected member of our family for several years, since she used to work at a successful law firm well before I was even born. She was fairly well off all things considered. Nice house, nice car, the works. Me and my family wouldn't see her often, but she was a decent person when we were around. That is, until late 2022. It was discovered that EA had been found guilty of professional misconduct at the law firm, and as a result, she was disbarred. The life she had worked for came crumbling down on top of her, and she lost just about everything. So, she decided to move in with my great-grandma, only a few blocks away from my house. Now, my great-grandma was a lovely woman. She was the type of person that would give her last penny to a homeless person. However, she was 95 at the time, and her dementia was starting to worsen. So, when EA moved in, my family just assumed she was there to be a caretaker for my great-grandma. And, to an extent, she was, albeit not a very good one. EA's true colors started to show after she started remodeling my great-grandma's house. My father's a carpenter, so he was asked to help with the remodeling. He begrudgingly accepted since he didn't have a job and needed the money. We're by no means a poor family, but keeping the income steady isn't always easy. While helping with the house, my father would witness EA mistreating my great-grandma on a constant basis. Only verbal abuse from what I can recall, since she still fed and bathed her. Still, seeing this made my dad very angry. To make matters worse, the remodeling was constantly stressing my great-grandma out, though EA could not be bothered to give half of a fuck. Towards the latter half of 2023, I tried my hardest to stay away from EA, only going around her if it meant visiting my great-grandma. We knew that she'd pass on eventually, but when it would happen was a guessing game. We thought the funeral was all planned out. My great-grandma told my mom on multiple occasions that when she did eventually pass away, she didn't want a big funeral. Just family and friends. And she wanted to be buried next to her husband, my great-grandpa. Apparently, EA had different plans. Upon passing, she wanted to bury my great-grandma straight away in a concrete box. No funeral. No visitation. No coffin. Just shoved in a box and put in the ground. My family was livid, to say the least. It's also worth noting that my great-grandma made the mistake of making EA the power of attorney, which, in my home state, trumps the deceased party's will, well before she passed. Essentially, EA had all this power, and my family could do nothing but try to bargain with her. Here's where the shitstorm began. After several lengthy discussions, my grandma eventually convinced EA to at least bury my great-grandma in a coffin instead of a concrete box. Unfortunately, she couldn't convince her to arrange a proper funeral. In late February earlier this year, my great-grandma passed away at the age of 96. My mom and I were lucky enough to say our final goodbyes to her shortly before she passed. I was apparently the last person to say goodbye to her, as she passed away 15 minutes after I left. Unfortunately, some of my other family members didn't get to say goodbye. My grandparents and EA agreed to do the burial in early March at around 11 a.m. That way, we could all say our goodbyes then immediately get some lunch afterwards. EA buried my great-grandma an hour and a half early. My grandpa never got to say goodbye to his own mother because my EA claimed that the Buriers wanted to get it out of the way when in reality she just wanted to save money. My dad and grandpa didn't end up going to lunch afterwards, and honestly, I don't blame them. EA's basically dead to us now. I am so fucking pissed off. I'm almost 99% sure EA altered my great-grandma's will while she was still alive so she'd be able to keep as much of her money as possible after she died. Unfortunately, there's no way to prove that she actually did, and we can't make a case against her. To add a cherry on top of this heaping pile of shit, my mom paid one of the local funeral homes to publish cards to let everyone know about my great-grandma's passing. She was fairly well known in the community. But a few days after passing the cards out to local businesses, EA went around collecting the cards because they go against Grandma's will. I have no idea what she did with the cards, but my guess is that she threw them away. As I mentioned earlier, it's been nearly 9 months since this all went down, but I will forever carry a deep resentment towards EA for how she treated my great-grandma. Mistreating and manipulating an old woman with dementia is straight up evil, and I'm glad EA is no longer in my life. Holy friggin' yikes, to be honest, I hope you've all gone no contact permanently with her from now on because the frick geez downcast face with sweat. Next up is the dumbest most stupid drama, not sure if it is the parents or the children. Am I the asshole for refusing to talk to my mom when I'm forced to visit her, ignoring her? Context: I, female 15, am refusing to actively talk to my mom and I ignoring her when I'm forced to see her. 2 months ago, a Friday, my mom F39 got arrested for assaulting her boyfriend M38 and his kid M12. The kid was bleeding all along his back, there were scratch marks. My brother M12 called the cops and when they responded they automatically arrested my mom. She actually knew the guy who was arresting her. She got fired from the jail. She originally worked for W jail in our town but got fired so she went to JC jail. She was in jail for less than 24 hours. She got bailed out by Gigi, her adoptive mom. She then started texting me long-ass paragraphs, mostly guilt-tripping, love-bombing and gaslighting. She was staying at Aunt Angie's, Gigi's sister, who also works at the jail. The night it happened, my dad M39, he is now 40. My mom hates Amber F36, my stepmom. She is amazing, she also a practicing pagan. They also have the same name, Amber. So Amber is petty and blunt, perfect for my dad who is soft-spoken but very determined. They have been my rocks through all of this, including my BF M15 and my best friend F15. My brother went back with my mom and she deleted photos, video of my camera I had took pictures or the kids' injures and had gotten a very muffled recording of the whole thing. She essentially started to make fun of me for getting angry at her. She also brought up how I tried to kill myself a few nights before it went down. I had 8 glass. I have hurt myself before, but that was when I was 11 to 12 due to my parents' divorce and I was dating my ex-girlfriend who was encouraging me to hurt myself with her. My mom has also lost her job at Meridian. She was a social worker. I don't know her job and she is getting charged with 4 separate things, including her hitting me and busting my lip. She has been acting crazy when I'm there. If I say no, my dad could go to jail. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day/evening/night/sleep/ how many time zones are there again?